This is the insert or leaflet for the H1N1 vaccine that was approved by Health Canada. You can view or download the PDF file at www.gsk.ca. GlaxoSmithKline, or GSK for short, won the contract to manufacture and distribute the H1N1 vaccine to all Canadians. I'm going to go over some of the important parts of this 24-page document. If you are considering taking the H1N1 vaccine, or you know someone who is, it is imperative you pay attention to this video as it contains vital information. Okay, so when you go to the introductory page, you will see in bold letters that Health Canada has authorized the sale of Arepanrix based on limited clinical testing in humans. Now remember that, limited clinical testing. This was rushed because the World Health Organization declared this to be a level 6 pandemic last spring. Because of that, all nations on planet Earth are under international law in regards to combating a health pandemic. On page 4, it tells us that the antigen is an inactivated H1N1 strain that is propagated in eggs. Now, when you make a flu vaccine, it is supposed to come from chicken eggs. It doesn't tell us what kind of eggs. Now, on page 5 and 6, GSK goes over the dosages for the various age groups. For adults aged 18 to 60, the need for a second dose is currently unknown. For the elderly, there is no clinical data for this age group. For children aged 10 to 17, there is no clinical data for this age group. For children aged 3 to 9, there is limited clinical data from this vaccine mixed with the H5N1. H5N1 is the deadly bird flu that can kill you within days. They even listed that they took the strain from somebody in Vietnam and made mock vaccines. At the end of page 7 on warnings, it tells us that a protective immune response may not be elicited in all vaccinees. So even if you take this vaccine, you are not guaranteed to be protected from the swine flu. Also on page 7, it says no data has been generated in pregnant women with Arepanrix, nor with the prototype. Data from vaccinations with seasonal trivalent influenza vaccines in pregnant women do not indicate that adverse fetal and maternal outcomes were attributable to the vaccine. It also goes on to say that animal studies have not demonstrated harmful effects with respect to fertility, pregnancy, fetal development, parturition, or postnatal development. It also says no data has been generated in breastfeeding women. Keep that in mind because under the preclinical safety data on page 18, they state that they did tests with the vaccines on pregnant rats. They go on to say, quote, "The following observations deserve to be mentioned. In the first study, there was an increased incidence of fetal malformations with markedly medially thickened or kinked ribs and bent scapula, as well as an increased incidence of dilated ureter and delayed neurological behavior. In the second study, there was an increased incidence of post-implantation loss and the fetal variation of dilated ureter. Not all the findings were observed in both studies, and hence the toxicological significance is uncertain." So first they come out and they say if you're pregnant and you take this vaccine, it won't harm the baby or mommy. But then they say that it was worth mentioning that they did some tests on pregnant rats and the babies came out mentally and physically retarded. And at the very last part of the sentence, they say that the toxicological significance is uncertain. So they lie to you at the first part of the document, but then they tell you a little bit of truth later on. And yet, the media and government say that pregnant women and children as young as 6 months should take this vaccine. I guess maybe they forgot to read this document. Let's take a look at page 23 under side effects. They state, as with all medicines, Arepanrix can cause side effects. The very common and common side effects are usually mild and should only last a day or two. Under very common, may occur with more than 1 in 10 doses. Pain, headache, fatigue, redness or swelling, shivering, sweating, aching muscles, and joint pain. Under common, may occur again with 1 in 10 doses. Reactions at the injection site such as bruising, itching, and warmth, fever, swollen lymph nodes, feeling sick, and diarrhea. Uncommon, may occur with up to 1 in 100 doses. Dizziness, generally feeling unwell, unusual weakness, vomiting, stomach pain, inability to sleep, tingling or numbness of the hands or feet, shortness of breath, pain in the chest, itching, rash, pain in the back or neck, stiffness in the muscles, muscle spasms, pain in extremities such as leg or hand. Rare, may occur with up to 1 in 1,000 doses. Allergic reactions leading to a dangerous decrease of blood pressure, which, if untreated, may lead to shock. Fits, severe stabbing or throbbing pain along one or more nerves. Low blood platelet count, which can result in bleeding or bruising. very rare, may occur with up to 1 in 10,000 doses. Vasculitis, which can cause inflammation of the blood vessels, which can cause skin rashes, joint pain, and kidney problems. It can cause neurological disorders which trigger inflammation of the central nervous system and a type of paralysis called Guillain-Barré syndrome, or GBS for short. This type of paralysis makes you a quadriplegic. Now, let's go back to page 22. They literally say that, quote, "This leaflet is part of a package insert and is designed specifically for consumers. This leaflet is a summary and will not tell you everything about Arepanrix. Contact your pharmacist or doctor if you have any questions about the vaccine." So they can push you into taking it. Can't make money if nobody's sick, right? So they openly admit that thimerosal is used as a preservative. Thimerosal is mercury. When was it ever a good idea to inject mercury into your body? It is a known toxic and it is poisonous to humans. The adjuvants used are polysorbate 80, which is scientific fact that it can damage your reproductive systems. It is a known toxic. All you people out there who want to have children or a family someday, you should think very carefully about that. Squalene is also listed, and it is known to destroy your immune system. It can also lead to nerve pain and arthritis. Formaldehyde is a chemical pollutant. It is used in adhesives, which are used on plywood and carpeting. And now your H1N1 vaccine. So if GSK will tell you that all this terrible and toxic crap is in their vaccine, and they openly admit in their own document that they will not tell you everything, just imagine what is in the vaccine that they are not telling you, or imagine what horrible things happen during their, quote, limited clinical testing. Now, these companies, GSK, Novartis, Baxter, these guys don't care because they just made billions and billions of dollars. Let's create a scenario. Let's say that your child takes this H1N1 vaccine and they get sick, or they develop some neurological disease, or even worse, they die. If this happened, you would want to take legal action against these vaccine companies. Unfortunately, you won't be able to. These vaccine makers have legal immunity thanks to the Canadian and US governments. Prior to October 1st, 1988, if you were injured by a vaccine, you were allowed to file a lawsuit against these manufacturers. Vaccines and the lawsuits proved to be costly to these manufacturers, so they threatened to pull out of the vaccine business altogether if they were not given legal immunity. So our governments bowed down and made it law that you, the victim, you, the slave, you, the sheep, couldn't file a lawsuit against companies like Baxter, Novartis, or GSK. Ask yourself this: why doesn't the media or government promote taking healthy supplements like vitamin C or D, or taking cod liver oil and beta-carotene to boost your immune system? I'll tell you why. The big pharmaceutical companies cannot make money off vitamin D, and there are 3 reasons for this. 1, they can't make money off it because they can't put a patent on it. 2, vitamin D is inexpensive. You can literally make your own vitamin D. And 3, vitamin D naturally comes from the sun, which is why flu season does not exist during the hot summers. If you do get the swine flu, take the week off and rest up. You will get better, and because you had the swine flu, your body naturally develops a kind of immunity to that type of strain. So there really is no need to take a vaccination. Just YouTube GSK, and you will find videos about a bunch of their drugs that have done way more harm to people than any good. So please, do your own research, stop being a sheep, get out of your little bubbled lives and say no to these criminals. This is a hoax, this is a scam, this is eugenics, and only an educated public can put a stop to this. If you don't know where to begin, I highly recommend watching the movie Endgame and Fall of the Republic. Learn about the truth and learn about what's really going on. It's time to wake up, people. Enough is enough.